On behalf of Agile PeopleOps, me, Tejasvi, community lead, and your host today, would like to thank you all for joining us for the very first community launch event in Nigeria. I would like to speak about our community, what we are, about Agile PeopleOps, global community. Our core intent is to create the PeopleOps social fabric to harness collective intelligence and practice new PeopleOps learnings. The three core Agile PeopleOps global community attributes are connect, collaborate, and co-create, that we call as 3 Cs. And now it's time to introduce our country ambassador. Let me invite our country ambassador for Nigeria, Uzoma Benedicta. Uzoma, than me speaking about you, I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience today. Me speaking about you, it would be much more different than you introducing them about yourself. That would be even great. So I would like to hand over the session to you. Over to you, Uzoma.
Okay, thank you so much, Teju. I really appreciate that. Because this is the first webinar we'll be having for our community here in Nigeria, I would want us to greet you in our own cultural way, because in Nigeria, we are so much important about culture and we have diverse way of greeting. So for the speakers and for the co-hosts and everyone, I'll say good evening in English, while in Yoruba, I'll say ekurole. While in Igbo, I'll say, the Igbos know what we are saying. Then in Hausa, we have greetings. So, you know, the ethnic group in Nigeria, there are various types of greetings. So I want to say thank you so much for attending this webinar. And I also want to say thank you for just creating this particular time to learn and get knowledge, because I will keep saying it, without knowledge, you're nothing. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is integrity. Knowledge defines who you are. So I'm going to proceed. My name is Uzoma Ekwemuka. That's what people call me. But my full name is Ekwemuka Uzoma Benedicta. That's my name. Currently, right now, I'm the human resource admin and support manager for a transport operation. I would appreciate if the person speaking at the background can mute his or her mic. Okay, so I'm going to proceed. So currently I'm the human resource admin and support manager of MDS Logistics Transport, basically in Aba.
I know.
Helpful.
Let's mute our mics, please.
Thank you, Omo.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so before now, I've always been the executive assistant to the managing director of MDS. Basically, everything about my life has to do with journey, determination, and resilience. It's been a great journey so far for me. I will not try and say I just jumped into this country ambassador just like that. They were journeys. However, in the HR space, the mindset of people in the HR space is HR is all about hire and fire. But as time keeps going on, HR began to spread wider and wider, and HR became more of the people and the business. But something was missing. One thing that was missing was the agile space. How do you apply the agile methodology, the agile mindset, the agile principle to your daily work, to your daily activities, to people, to the business, to the strategies of your workplace, of your organizational vision and mission? How do you apply that was my concern. And I keep doing research. I just started doing more of research. I didn't the course is titled Agile PeopleOps framework. The first time I got to know about Agile PeopleOps framework, one thing that came to my mind was, what does that mean? What does Agile People Framework mean? Then I paid for the training and I started the training. At the first section of the training, I was so excited that there's another knowledge that I can get and how I can apply the Agile principles, the Agile methodology into my work as an HR professional. Then I continued, and eventually I passed the training and I was given a certificate. So that one step gave me another approach on, I want to know who Agile People Framework is all about. Then I went on LinkedIn. Going on LinkedIn, I searched for them. I keep searching. It was so funny. Then I just bumped into a lady. And when I saw her, I saw she was the community lead for Agile HR professional. And I just approached her. I'm going to introduce her later, but I just want to tell you the brief of how I came in contact with her. So I approached her, and I will keep saying this: if you actually want to grow, if you actually want to learn, don't see yourself as if it's not possible for you to reach out to that person. For you to get the right people beside you, you must reach out to them. So I reached out to this wonderful personality, and I begged her. I told her, I would like to be your mentee. I want you to mentor me, regardless of the fact that I might be knowledgeable in my own area of HR. But there are people I want to learn from. There are people I actually want them to impart their knowledge in me. So I approached this lady. And the first impression she gave me was that, okay, if you're going to be my mentee, I'm going to have a section with you first. So then thereafter, that went by. And in the long run, a section came that's for Agile HR intern, and I went to her. And I told her, I said, can I be an intern? I actually want to be an intern. And she was so amazed that I want to apply as an intern. After checking my profile on LinkedIn, and she went, no, you can't be an intern. But I begged her, I sent to intern. And she said, okay, just apply. Let's see what will happen. So I applied for the intern role. And when I applied, the section when I'm going to have a one-on-one chat with her, and we had a very, very long chat. The interview section changed from the regular interview we used to know to a familiarized conversation. And we're talking at length. And I've told her what I've done, what I've achieved in my voluntary role in other groups where I belonged. And she got interested. And she said, you know, Uzoma, I can't take you as an intern. And I looked at her, I said, why can't you take me as an intern? I want to apply as an intern. And she said, no, the knowledge you have is far, far more than an intern. And I said, okay, no problem. What do you want me to be? And she said she has something for me. So she's going to introduce me to a mentor. And I was amazed. Well, at a point I was like, why will you introduce me to your mentor? And she said, don't worry, I'm going to introduce you to your mentor. And eventually a date was scheduled and I met the mentor. And the mentor is another, she's my coach now anyway. I'm still going to mention her name. So meeting our mentor, on the very day I'm going to meet our mentor, I met the lady I approached first. Her name is Teju. And the mentor, our own mentor, was Lakshmi. And it was so amazing that these two people were very, very great. And they also gave me an audience to listen to what I was saying. So they listened, and in the long run, the chat we had became, no, we can't take you as an intern. You are far, far more than an intern. Uzoma, you know what? What can you do differently? What impact can you bring in? What do you think you can do separately for us? And I looked at them, I said, okay, if a community or if there is a possibility whereby I can bring the Nigerian people on board to learn more from Agile People Framework, which we abbreviate as APF, I think that would be better. And they looked at it and said, okay, as it is right now, we can't just take you as an intern. We're going to take you and employ you in as a country ambassador. That actually got me so excited. And I was wondering, why me? Why a country ambassador? What have I said? And why am I so special to be a country ambassador to great people and to a great community where people strive to pay, where people strive to belong? And it became so amazing that I was appointed as a country ambassador, which was the first appointment. Then thereafter, I was called upon again and said, no. We want you to create a community for Nigeria, where Nigerians can understand who APF is and what APF is all about. And I looked at it, I said, okay, no problem, and I bought the idea. And today, I'm not just only a country ambassador to Agile People Framework, I'm also a global community member of the board. And it has actually been a great journey for me. And this journey cannot just be just Uzoma, but it has to be with me taking the bold step and reaching out to someone that I want to learn from, and also reaching out to them, telling them what I can offer and what I think they can do in Nigeria here, because the Agile principles and mindset is something everyone don't know. And it will be so nice that this first webinar that we are having is going to be a very great eye-opener for everybody to know what APF stands for. That's the Agile People Framework stands for, and what we do. And Agile community, it's a faculty where you can learn various kind of courses and become whatever you want to become in areas of courses that you're interested in. I'm sure with this webinar, you're going to make a good choice and say, no, this is where I want to belong. Just the way I made mention that this is where I want to belong. Thank you so much. And I want to appreciate you all for your time. And I know that this webinar is going to be a great insight for you all. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Uzoma, for sharing all the journey of yours with each and every one present over here. I think many would have been felt so motivated with your journey. Thank you once again. Thank you so much. And let me introduce our speaker today. We have two speakers with us, Sarika Gupta and Nadia Bernard. Sarika Gupta is PeopleOps Director and a coach at Cultural Intelligence. As a human-centered leader, she is passionate about elevating the people's experience within the company and continuously strives to leverage a constructive culture between the across diverse distributed teams. And she loves to use her mentoring and coaching toolkits to bring the best out of people. Welcome, Sarika Gupta. And
thank you so much, and a very welcome to all the participants here. And we are actually looking forward to a very, engaging session with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we have another speaker, Nadia Bernard. She is certified PeopleOps coach and a partner program manager at Agile PeopleOps. She is adept at enhancing the people's experience and creating positive workforce culture and climate. She has hands-on experience managing teams and motivating them to work together to meet individual, group, and organizational goals. And she loves to interact with people and build collaborative connections and relationship with employees and clients. And we have a special guest with us here. She is founder of Cultural Intelligence, and she is an Agile PeopleOps framework accredited trainer with a keen interest in Agile HR practices and workforce culture. She is none other than Lakshmi Chirravuri. She is passionate about helping people embark on a learning journey and creating a platform for shared learning. And she does conduct Agile HR cohort sessions and training programs at a global level. And she serves as a working committee member for Agile PeopleOps. She is an author of ebook Humanize the Hiring Experience, and she is accredited in conducting organization culture and effectiveness assessments. She contributed towards Agile 2 movement. She serves as a council member for India-South Korea Bilateral Council at WICCI. With more than a decade of experience in global recruitment and HR operations, she serves as an advisor for Agile talent acquisition function, and she is pioneer for the Agile HR community at Bangalore, India. This was the introductory session, so let's have an understanding of our audience now. The introduction which I gave you, it was all about our speakers, our special guest, our country ambassador, everyone. You have been till now, it's been like I've given the details about all the speakers. But now we wanted to know who our audience are. So let us have an understanding of who you all are and let us know who all have joined us today. So let's have a poll to know your role in your organization. I'll start up a poll and you can give the responses. I have launched the role. You can start answering. Okay, I can see we are getting the responses.
Happy with them. If it's well, I won't buy market, so now you know won't buy it.
Please let's mute our mics, please.
Okay, I can see the responses. Is everybody able to respond for the poll? Okay, in case if anybody is not able to put in their role in the poll, you can always mention in the chat box. That would absolutely be fine. You can put it in the chat box as well. What is your role in your organization? Okay, I think we are receiving some responses in the chat box as well, right? Uzoma, you can keep an eye on the chat box so that in case if anybody is asking, we can have the conversation. And we have few more seconds to close the poll. I can see the mix and match of all the different positions in HR. We have leaders, HR leaders, HR managers, business partners, associates, consultants, students, and few are mentioned as others. I think I request the one who have mentioned as others. Can you please put it in the chat box? What is your role? And I guess it's time to close the poll. We have just 2 more seconds left out. Okay, that was lovely to see the mix and match of senior and junior level of HR professionals. So now it's time for me to hand over the virtual session to our first speaker, Nadia, to kickstart the session. And as it's gonna be an interactive session, we would be using Mentimeter in between. So I request everybody to get ready with the www.menti.com for the activity. And I'll be sharing the code for Mentimeter accordingly in the chat box when we start the session. So I would like to invite our first speaker, Nadia. Over to you.
Hey, thanks, Teju. Welcome everybody. We're all very excited to host you guys, and I think this is the first of many webinars that we're going to host. So very excited. Just for today's agenda, we are going to cover the current business realities. Then we're also going to look around at traditional HR versus people operations. We're going to look at the paradigm shift. Then we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into our APF manifestos and values, as well as the APF value realization. So lots of good stuff that we're covering today. Can we go to the, I'm struggling. Can you help me, Tisha? Please go to the next slide.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. So I don't know how many people have heard of this concept VUCA, but we live in the 21st century. VUCA is really our reality. So when we talk around VUCA, we talk about life or the landscape being very volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And I would say the challenges that we're facing in this 21st century business landscape are brand new challenges. It's not challenges that we faced 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ago. So it's about how do we overcome this? So if we can just go to the next part. Josh Bersin put out a prediction to say this is the prediction for 2022 around HR. And some of the things that he said was that there's going to be a big talent intelligence. The focus is going to be on talent intelligence, and that will be the people strategy. There's also going to be a focus on learning, upskilling, and that will be very critical for business to invest in its employees to learn and upskill. And then there's also going to be an intense focus on the employee experience. So those are things that, and I think a lot of us have heard about the Great Resignation. How do we move away in this HR world that we live in from the Great Resignation to the Great Reimagination? Can we go to the next slide?
Yes.
So just by reading this quote from the Josh Bersin company, you can see, like I mentioned before, a lot of the challenges there will include upskilling the HR team, which is, as we saw before, it's all of us on the school at the moment that would need that continuous upskilling, organizing HR around agile design and delivery, and that continuously innovating around the employee experience. So just by reading this, we can see that the way that we're currently doing HR is a very outdated way of looking at our employees and working with our companies. And this is where people operations come in. So like I said before, the human resources, the way that we understand human resources, the way that we currently operate in our businesses are very outdated. We see our employees as being resources, but a matter of fact, they're actually our assets. And if for us to have a organizational competitive advantage, we need to see our employees as assets instead of seeing them as resources. And this is why the way that we look at human resources, or the way that we're doing human resources currently, is very outdated. So there's a whole new rebranding around HR, and this is where people operations come in. So you know, and I saw that there was a lot of people on the call that said they're HR business partners and HR leaders and things like that. But the way that we're moving towards is becoming more people operation officers. And some companies have even taken it as far as to rebrand it to chief heart officer, as you can see Barnard Media, as well as the chief amazement officer by Rocket Central. So what we, you know, just by looking at these titles, you can see that that focus on the employee experience is very important, and that's where we're moving towards. So we can go to the next slide. Thanks, Deju.
Yeah.
So let's look a little bit at what's the difference between traditional HR and people operations. And I think a lot of us will be able to relate to some of these things. So traditionally, HR can be very transactional and tactical. It's just about executing tasks, getting the boxes ticked, you know, doing what we need to do. While if we work as people operators or in the people operations sphere, it's being more strategic. So for us, it's creating those goal-based programs and initiatives. We also see that traditional HR can be very reactive. So as issues pop up, they will respond to it, where the people operations, they're more deliberate. So they proactively create programs to achieve goals. And traditional HR can also be very siloed and narrow. So what that does, it limits us and our boundaries to the traditional HR practices. You know, we're just staying into creating those policies, creating those contracts, you know, recruiting just for the sake of recruiting. Where from a people operations point of view, we take on a more holistic view of it. So we look at the business in a much wider, we look at it in a much wider sphere, and we use tools to address them. And in the last part, and I can personally say I can relate to this, is in the traditional HR, we're just, you know, being informed. The business makes decisions without us, and they expect us to execute us. Whereas a people operation, or being in people operations, we're part of the solution. We're being consulted. We're brought in to help drive those strategic conversations and make those strategic decisions. So for us, it's all about adding that value and insight to the business. I would say instead of sitting on the sideline, we're also playing in the field. So we're going to go into a Mentimeter just to see where you're at. I think Lakshmi will open that for us.
Yes, Nadia. Okay. So let me know, everyone, can you see the screen?
Yeah,
okay, great. Okay, so folks, all of you got an understanding, right, about the difference between HR and PeopleOps. So how about you taking some time to go ahead and think through what would be your preference, right? And to go ahead and share your perspectives, you can log into menti.com. And Teju, if you could share the code with everyone.
Yes, I'm sharing it.
Awesome.
It's 20254512. I've shared it in the chat box as well.
So please go to menti.com, use this code. In case, folks, you're having any trouble in logging into menti.com, then feel free to share your perspective even using the chat functionality that you have it on your screen.
Okay. Responses have started. Okay, I can see many of the responses.
Yeah, Teju, even I can see that. Most of them are actually
Yeah.
opting for operations. So, participants, please be honest and let us know. It's not that we are holding this webinar for people operations that you have to mention it over there too. Be honest. If it's HR, write HR over there. And I could very well see, Teju, people have a good reason to opt for people operations, which
Yes,
is very
absolutely. 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 That feels so amazed, actually.
Absolutely, yeah.
We have exams.
I request everyone to please be on mute.
Okay, Teju, has anyone so far opted for human resources? Tell me.
There was one person in the beginning.
Yeah, even I could
No,
see that.
actually, they had mentioned it, but another reason also the reason also has been mentioned why they would go for people ops.
People operations. Okay, fine.
Yes.
So
They
not
had
even a
mentioned it as
single-
HR. Yes, they had mentioned it as an HR, but even then, after knowing about people ops, they would be opting for people ops. In that way, they have mentioned.
That's
Okay,
really good.
we have one more. I believe HR encompasses people ops, so I'll go for HR. One more person have mentioned it.
To 5. Tomorrow, I will be here. So I'm not coming to this my draft. If we go into my draft, first tomorrow morning for me. Then it's
Augustine, please mute your mic.
Okay, we're still receiving the responses. That's wonderful. It's wonderful to see all the responses. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating.
Maybe we'll give a minute or so. What do you all
Yes,
suggest?
yes. Yes, we can give because we are still receiving the responses.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay. I think we can take over the session now again.
Yeah.
What do you say, Nadia?
Yeah, I think
We have received.
32 people have answered, and I think 99.9999% said before operations. Well, let's say
Okay.
99.9%.
Okay. Okay. So let's.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll resume the session now.
So if we okay, let me just get into it again. So Laszlo Bock wrote a book called Work Rules, and the whole book was around the insights from how they work at Google. And he was one of the first people to coin the term people operations, which is why we're on this call today, right? Or this webinar today. So when we look at companies such as Buffer, if I can read this quote for you, if old HR is about managing rules and policies, people operation is about designing work so that you want to be there, present, engaged, and proud of what you do. And for me, it's something I can personally relate to. I want to be at the workplace where I feel present, engaged, and proud of what you do. And I think a lot of the HR business partners, this might be something that you're struggling with at your workforce, to get your employees to be engaged and show up and be proud of what they do. So before we go on, we're going to go into another Mentimeter around what is Agile.
I hope the screen is visible to everyone.
It is.
Yes, the screen is visible, and we have the code. It's the same code that we have used prior. You can use the same code and you can re-enter to Menti using the same code. So the question here is, what comes to your mind? What words come to your mind when somebody asks you, what is Agile? You can give it in your own words. We just wanted to know what you know about Agile. Wow. Ready for any change, innovative, change ready, adaptability, flexibility, active, apt, innovative, smart, reactive. Active, urgency, proactive, dynamism, outside the box thinking, gain time flexible, rapid, ability to change, ability to think quickly, proactive and responsive,
I like that beyond immediate. It's like it's things need to happen.
Beyond immediate.
Yes.
Beyond immediate. Yes.
In case anybody is having any issues with, logging to menti.com, please use the chat functionality and share whatever words come.
Okay, he's good at studying.
In case if anybody is not able to log into menti.com, you can use the chat box. You can use the chat box and you can put in your word that you would like to say.
Now, who is taking charge? Who is leading? Isn't it supposed to be the
Okay, in the chat box, we have one answer. Agile to me means swiftness or promptness. Okay. So shall we move ahead or would like to give a few more seconds?
Maybe in like half a minute and then we can go
Okay.
on.
Done. Okay. Agile to me means being ever responsible, from Orola. Okay, Nadia, I think we can restart again. Yes. Okay, there you go.
Okay, so we can move on to the next screen, to the next slide.
Yeah.
So what is, thanks Tishu. So what is Agile? And I think a lot of us have answered and we could see that there was a lot of consensus, so a lot around flexibility, adaptability and things like that. But when we talk about Agile, it's a mindset that individuals and teams can cultivate to make an intentional behavioral shift and embrace change. You know, somebody, I think somebody said ever changing, that's in it. So that it's being able to make that behavioral, be able to adapt and react to that. And one of the important things that we have to remember, it's all about delivering value to our customers. So in our case, you know, our customers can be the business, but it's also the employees that we work with, right? And that we support. So for us in the people operations, it's about, you know, delivering that value to the customer. That's what makes Agile so important to us. Can we go to the next slide?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, sorry. So what is lean? And I think we've heard about being lean before, and so it's all about reducing waste or activities that don't add value to the process. It doesn't add value to the process. It doesn't add value to the company, and by reducing this waste, what we're doing is we're driving that continuous improvement, that continuous, you know, every day we're trying to be better and do better, so that when we look at reducing the waste, it helps us to be better at what we do every day. So it's a systematic approach that focuses on identifying and reducing or eliminating waste or delay. So anything that doesn't add value in a process to deliver value to our customers, achieve quality and continuous improvement. So how do we then move to that? So for us, it's embracing the whole paradigm shift. So for us to move from an HR mindset to a people operations mindset, we have to do a whole paradigm shift. Sorry about that. And one of the things that we need to do is have a growth mindset. And I think a lot of us have heard the term growth mindset before, but do we really have a growth mindset when it comes to our workplace and how we interact with the problems and the challenges at work, right? So having a growth mindset is all about cultivating a passion for learning. It's, if you underscore, I hope most of you, like all of us that's presenting, we're forever learning. It's a journey that we're embracing. And that's what it means to have a growth mindset. So put effort to achieve mastery and success. It's also, the paradigm shift should also be around being a human-centered approach. And we keep saying that, right? What is the human experience? What is our employees' experience? What are we using? How are we using empathy and compassion when we engage with people around us, the people that we work with, the people that we support at work? And then the last part to help us drive this paradigm shift is the agile lean practices. So again, we want to deliver value to our stakeholders and customers. So the agile lean practices is if we're working in an agile lean way, we work in shorter cycles. And there's a continuous feedback loop where people give us feedback so that we can adjust and make sure that we're on the right track, that we achieve what we set out to achieve. And that is it from me. I'm going to hand over to Sarika, the other speaker. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Thanks a lot. And I think so by now, all of you must have got that familiarity with Agile, Lean, and that paradigm shift Nadia had talked to you about. In fact, when Uzoma was sharing her experience, I was actually smiling over here just because of the fact, because I think that is the case with so many of participants out here. People don't really know what exactly Agile is all about, right? So we are here to trigger that thought process, to bring that insight. Agile is a subject in itself. So this small webinar of 90 minutes duration is actually not enough for us to explain each and every aspect, but yes, we'll try our level best to make the most of it, right? So now let's get some understanding of what APF is all about. Agile People Operations LLC is based out of USA and is elite partners to Cultural Agents. And I'm so glad to share that we are conducting this launch webinar of APF Nigeria chapter on the same day when Cultural Agents complete 6 years since founded in USA. And Agile People Operations has come up with world's first people operations framework called Agile People Operations Framework, and that's the name of the organization. And APF actually enables HR teams to intentionally adopt a more agile mindset. So when we talk of Agile People's Framework, we emphasize on two things. Firstly, the transformation from traditional HR to Agile HR People Operations practices. And secondly, that it is a unified process. And Nadia has already shared a lot on how is the traditional HR different from Agile People Operations. The second thing I would like to draw your attention to is the word unified. Can any one of you tell me out here what exactly this word means to you, this word unified? You can use the chat box out there. Uzoma, could you please keep a check on the chat box for me?
Yes, I'm on the chat box. It's in anything yet. Okay.
Encompassing, collaborative, all right.
Yeah.
Global, consolidated. All right.
Yeah. Still waiting for others' comments.
Harmony, unifying, all right. So I think many of you have got some idea at least what unified could mean. Literally. Together. Give a bang up. Togetherness. Okay. Oneness. All right. Cross-functional. All right, Linda. I like that. Team. Okay. Aligning. Right.
Aligning, even inclusion.
Even inclusion. All right. So I could see, you know, people are coming up with those terminologies that we frequently use in Agile. Syncing. All right, hello. Single. A key. Collaboration. Integrate. All right, blessing. Efficiencies. Good, Ramal. Okay, I think I better answer the question now. You have stopped, you know, getting those answers. So the unified process is the one that provides you guidance to team activities, integrates teamwork with individuals' work, tells you about the documentation process involved, and measure and monitor the activities. So all in all, it tells you how to make things work the agile way. Right, I hope I'm clear and everybody has got that point. Now, coming to this Agile People's Framework, this framework is tested and implemented successfully in companies with certified professionals in countries like USA, India, South Africa, Middle East, South America, Europe, and Hong Kong. From APF side, we offer certain role-based programs. So for somebody who would like to take up a career in the field of recruitment and hiring or talent acquisition, so to say, that person can take up the basic level course, which is called APF Talent Champion Certification Program. And for somebody who would like to take up a career, in fact, wants to pursue a career in the field of generalist profile in HR, that person can take up the APF Specialist Program. So these are the basic level certification courses that we offer. And the next level after this comes that of a Scrum Master. Scrum Master is actually another term that we use for team lead in Agile. Right. So after doing this basic level courses, that person can move ahead and move up to the ladder and take that Scrum Master certification course. And then comes the certification for coach. That is the ultimate level certification that we have, APF Coach Program, which is accredited by International Coaching Federation. An APF Coach Program can actually be taken up by VPs, directors, consultants, and coach agents of the organizations. Right, so that was all about APF. And if you want to learn more about APF, you can shoot us with your questions in the chat box, or maybe whenever time permits, you can go ahead and surf the website. All right, can you please change the slide for us, Teju? So now let's take a stepwise look on Agile Manifesto first, something which Uzoma talked to you about. And she said, you know, this is something that intrigued her. What is this APF Manifesto all about, right? So our APF Manifesto strongly advocates these 4 aspects: team of teams over traditional hierarchies, growth mindset over fixed mindset, which actually Nadia spoke to you about, coaching culture over command and control, and trans-cultural competence over cultural competence. We'll deep dive into each and every aspect. Before you do that, Lakshmi has an interesting mentee. Lakshmi, can you please share that with us?
Sure, Sarika. I hope everybody, the screen is visible to all. So please feel free to visit menti.com again and then use this code 1900065. So you will be
I've shared the
seeing-
code in the
Okay.
chat box. Yeah.
Great. So folks, you all would be seeing two visuals over here, and there is a name for each of the visual given, right? Traditional hierarchies, team of teams. So do the visuals and the words that have been used, do they sync up? If yes, give a thumbs up. If no, give a thumbs down.
And Lakshmi, a request over here.
And,
Could you please keep this Menti open till the time I finish explaining team of teams to them?
you all can use the chat functionality too. You can just say yes, no, and we should be good with that responses too.
Okay. So far we have got yes as a response.
Yeah.
Okay, Zoo. One thing is coming to my mind here, Lakshmi. See, our participants they actually have a good understanding of many things. It's just that they have to start implementing Agile at their own end.
100% agree, Sarika. 100%.
Kind of responses that we are getting. Somewhere you could see that inclination towards Agile.
They had used the term proactive. Some of them had used the term proactive in that Agile word cloud. So that's what they are, true to their words, I can.
Right. Are we still getting responses, Teju?
Yes, Sarika. Everybody says yes.
Everybody says yes.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me if we get a single no, please.
I think you can start explaining on this part. I think you can start continue it.
Definitely. In the meanwhile, while we are still getting those responses, because I could still see people joining here. People are still waiting in the waiting room. You could please let them in. All right. So starting with team of teams, it's the hierarchical format, if you talk about, is the basis of most organizational charts that we have seen so far. A hierarchy is organized into a pyramid-like structure, as you must have seen. It's wider at the bottom and gets narrower as we reach the top. And this kind of structure comprises of executives, directors, managers, and employees in order from the highest level to the lowest level in the team. And this is, I must say, by far the most widely used structures and creates clear boundaries between the team members. On the other hand, team of teams, there are various teams coming together and collaborating and working together to realize organization goals. It's kind of a network, you see. And to understand it better, we can actually understand it with the help of an example. For example, let's say there's an auto manufacturing company which is trying to come up with cost-effective, fuel-efficient electric car. So what will happen? So a team comprising of representatives from design department, production department, hardware and software systems, business development and marketing department, people operations department, accounts department, and sales department, they all can get together and work towards a shared goal of bringing that automobile up in the market, which should be cost effective and fuel efficient on the other hand. And team of teams, I must say, is effective because the team members, they trust each other. They have that shared purpose, which is called shared consciousness. And unlike traditional hierarchies, team of teams actually allows employees to take that responsibility and take that authority to make decisions instead of, waiting for a manager to issue instructions and approve requests. An empowered team organizes itself around a lead. That is what happens in team of teams. It is such a broad topic that there is a book written by Stanley McChrystal, who is retired from US Army, on team of teams. I don't have a copy by my side, otherwise I would have shown it to you. I forgot, keeping it along my side. In team of teams, in his book, team of teams, what he has written, McChrystal has described, how he transformed the slow-moving bureaucratic task force into agile, adaptable network of teams, united by that shared consciousness, which we're talking about, right? That trust and decentralized decision-making. He was actually fighting against Al-Qaeda to eliminate the terrorist leader, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, and began winning the fight against terrorism in Iraq. So that is the magic team of teams could bring, to a military organization and even to your organizations. And these accomplishments hold lessons for all kinds of organizations struggling with unconventional changes and environments today. Whenever you get time, it's available online. You can go ahead and give it a read too. All right, so that was all about team of teams. In case you have any questions, we would be more than happy to answer your questions about team of teams. You can share it in the chat box and we'll put it in the parking lot. And maybe at the end of the session, we will answer all your questions, right? So before we jump to the next slide, I think Lakshmi has a Menti for you once again.
So the code for this Menti is 39512049. What you need to do here is, right, you see a set of statements over here. So feel free to suggest which statement denotes which mindset. Is it growth mindset or is it fixed mindset?
Yes. And it shouldn't be difficult for any one of you because Nadia has already shared, about these two aspects, growth mindset and fixed mindset already.
And for those who are facing the difficulty logging to menti.com, you can just see that there are 8 statements, right? So just for the ease of understanding or for that quickness, you can just say the first statement 1 and then say GM, that is growth mindset, or if it says it's fixed mindset according to you, just say FM. So you can just say like the third statement 3 GM or FM. You can put that also, use the chat functionality and put your responses. That too we would be accepting. Thank you.
How is the response, Lakshmi?
Yes, we are getting there. We have 17 responses as of now, Sarika.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Suzu. You mentioned a complete list in the chat box. The kind of responses, Lakshmi, that we are getting, and everybody has such a good understanding of growth mindset. I think I should invite one of them, to explain it to all of us instead of me explaining it to them.
Awesome idea, Sarika. Go ahead. The first thing that comes to my mind now as is Nigeria rocks. Okay. Now don't ask why I came up with that. But it's not just
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lakshmi.
always welcome. Uzoma.
Nigerians, we rock.
Yes, 100%. I love those emojis and those statements coming.
Absolutely.
Wow. Wow.
Absolutely.
Always on fire. Cool.
And yeah, and I really like that active participation that they are having, in these sessions.
Yes.
Not a single moment of dullness out here, Lakshmi.
Yes. The audience is motivating the speakers and the facilitators.
Completely agree
Absolutely.
with you. Yay, Grace.
We agree with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Are we still getting responses, or shall we resume?
Let's resume. Yeah.
All right. Sure. So I would not like to go into the theory as it has already been explained by Nadia, what growth mindset and fixed mindset is. Let's, take an example and understand it through an example. Imagine, that an employee with a fixed mindset was promoted to a managerial role for the very first time. While he was great individual contributor, he was struggling to adjust to the additional responsibilities that has come up, with being a manager. So instead of recognizing that this is a part of the transition process, he gets discouraged. And to avoid feeling like a failure, what he does is he refuses to take help. He shirks any responsibilities and he does not naturally excel. So as a result, he sees little or no progress with his managerial skills. That was a person with a fixed mindset. Now let's see, imagine the same example, but this time with an employee who has a growth mindset. So while this individual is facing the same challenge as the person with the fixed mindset, he views the transition period very differently. Instead of shying away from the obstacles, he views this as an opportunity to learn and isn't afraid to ask for help for from more experienced colleagues, so to say. And in few short months, he sees huge improvement, and he was one of the top performing managers in his department. So that was a person with growth mindset. And growth mindset, I must say, is very essential for nurturing innovation and willingness to take risks at the company level. And when a person has this growth mindset, then they look at the long-term possibilities of them, having that growth within this organization. All right, so that is the case. That is all about growth and fixed mindset. One thing I would like to share here with you, which is also mentioned at the bottom of the slide, that you will receive a handout from all of us in a day or two, which will include, all the topics that are being covered in the webinar today, and plus some self-assessment tests for you to reflect on. Right, so now
Thank you.
Most welcome. And now we'll be moving to one more mentee. Today we are playing mentee with all of you. So one more mentee from Lakshmi here.
Oh, wow. Good to see that already people have joined. Awesome. Continue joining.
Lakshmi, rarely this thing happens, you see. People waiting to join mentee.
Yep. So
because it has the same code. It has the same code. So
okay.
They felt it more easier this time.
Also, maybe they're getting used to seeing that, okay, so we are presenting so much of mentee, let's become proactive and get going before even the facilitators say go to mentee.com. They are easing our work.
Yes, and really, they're awesome.
So we will just wait for a couple of, I would say a minute or so, let maximum people join, and then we would move to the question.
Sure.
Maybe 30 more seconds we wait, and then we go to the question.
Somebody is asking in the chat box, Chetu, Teju, that what is it that we expect to do?
Yeah, here is the question that's coming in. Coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Is this statement true or is it false? Again, you can use your chat functionality. Time is up. Oh, wow. Okay, Sarika, this again proves. This again proves.
Awesome, awesome.
We have received 18 responses.
Absolutely. Now there is not much for me to talk about. Lakshmi, we have, knowledgeable participants out here already enlightened with all that, aspects.
Yes.
All right. So, but then I'm here to explain a few things to you, which I'll do, from my end. So let's come to command and control culture. Could you please share the slide, Teju?
Yes. I'm doing that.
Sure. Thank you, Teju. So this is the type of culture many leaders are working with today in organizations. This style dominates. Employees are expected to follow orders and stick to protocols. No questions being asked out there. In command and control culture, people go ahead by demonstrating competence and hiding failures. Open conversations with supervisors are very rare, especially when they're about challenges and weak points.
I don't want you to leave the car.
Now, coming to coaching culture, on the other hand, coaching culture actually fosters openness and trust between the employees and the leaders. People are still expected to meet performance expectations, while concerns and issues can be tabled without any fear of judgment. That is something where psychological safety also comes into play. That psychological safety also talks about this thing, wherein you can voice your opinion without any fear of being judged, be it your peers, be it your superiors, whosoever it is. And building a coaching culture actually starts with promoting a coaching mindset. And a coaching mindset is all about creating that safety and promoting openness. And especially, how leaders behave when people make mistakes and share opposing ideas and determine the culture. That is something that determines the culture of an organization. So that was all about coaching culture. There is one difference, between mentoring and coaching. Can any one of you tell me what it is? What is the main, major difference between mentoring and coaching? You can even unmute yourself or maybe use the chat box, whichever way you feel convenient.
Anyone would like to unmute yourself and answer?
What nonsense.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay.
Hello.
Okay, so for my name
I'm going to mute the person now. Look for the person and mute the person. I guess it was an error.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Do we have anybody? Any answers in the chat box?
Yes, coaching. Why coaching is on the way? You don't provide answer. You allow the person that is being coached, you lead the person so that the answer emanates from the person. That way there's tend to be ownership and the person can definitely run with the answer that he or she has provided. That's coaching.
Wonderful, 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 Mary. So yeah, I could see, you know, some people have mentioned the chat box too. Yeah. So in mentoring, you know, the person who is actually mentoring you, the mentor can provide you with answers, but a coach will never provide you with an answer. He will ask you certain powerful questions and he'll drive you so that you can draw your own answers to your own problems. He will not give you an answer in a plate and give it to you. No, that is not what coaching is all about. So that was the major difference. Thank you so much. Thank you. I could see, you know, people still answering this. Coaching is training while mentoring shares. Thank you so much. Thanks there. And that was all about coaching, culture, and command and control. And we have one more mentee over here from Lakshmi. Right, Lakshmi? Coach is an enabler and mentor provides a success roadmap. Right, Linda? So Lakshmi, do we have 2 questions in here this time in Menti?
Yeah, no, that one was the coaching culture. So that's done. That's why this is the second one. Yeah.
Okay.
So Dash involves being able to adapt to various socio-cultural settings anywhere in the world and dealing with diverse cultural differences. So is this cultural competence or is it transcultural competence? Time's up.
Okay. So I could see many of you have answered it as transcultural competence, and some of you are still doubtful whether it's cultural or transcultural. So I could see some of you have answered it as cultural competence. No worries. So let's come to this aspect now. Cultural competence is actually the ability of a person to effectively interact, work, and develop meaningful relationships with people from their own culture. Like people from Nigeria could understand, you know, the culture of people coming from Nigeria only. You know, when your festivals are, you know, when is it that people want a day off? When is the time that they could, you know, ask for an off just because they have an examination or something? Because all of you are coming from the same culture. On the other hand, transcultural competence is nothing but the ability to understand and appreciate and interact with people from different cultures all across the globe. Individuals are better able to accomplish goals in a respectful and effective way, no matter what the country. If I give you an example from Cultilligence, so we are working with people from various countries. You see, we have people from Algeria, from Nigeria, from Taiwan, from South Africa, India, Tanzania, Rwanda, Cameroon. In the past, we even have had people from Morocco, from Lebanon. People are here, you know, working from London too. And when you work with people from so many cultures, you know, people come to us saying that, you know, we want, you know, a few hours off on Saturdays just because it's our church day. So we being Indian, we are into that, you know, transcultural competence mode. We never say no. We always, with all due respect towards their culture, we always grant them permission for that. So this is the kind of mindfulness, you know, that you come with when you work with people from all across the globe, coming, you know, working with your organization. And I would like to, you know, hear if you have had any experience, you know, where you could see transcultural competence being demonstrated by the employees or maybe the senior members of your organization. put it in the chat box, or maybe, you know, later when we are having that question answer session, maybe you can unmute yourself and share your experiences with us. We would love to hear from all of you. All right, so that was all about cross-cultural competence over cultural competence. One more mentee here from, I think, Lakshmi. Do you have one more mentee for them?
Yes.
People are going to get well versed with mentee today, I'm sure.
Yeah, I hope it should not be at the end of the session. It will be like, oh, come on, stop. Okay, enough of mentee.com for today. Right? So,
I don't think so, Lakshmi.
okay, that would be great then, Sarika. Okay, so folks, this, you know, summing up everything, right? You all have been introduced to the 4 APF manifesto. So now you were also introduced to the VUCA world, what Nadia mentioned at the first slide. So considering that we are in this dynamic business, you know, situation, right? What do you people think? Which manifesto should be a top priority for the PeopleOps function? And feel free to rank it. You know, first, what should it be? Should it be growth mindset, or should it be coaching culture, or should it be trans-cultural competence? So feel free to rank and share your perspective. And if you want to go one step further in terms of explaining why you have chosen that particular manifesto, you're more than open to use the chat functionality and share your comments. Thank you.
Mindset is the bedrock.
All right. Good morning.
And in case you want to use the chat functionality, you can either say, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 4, 3, 2, or 3, 4, 2, 1, whatever you choose as a priority.
How many responses have you got so far, Lakshmi?
13 responses.
We have 13 responses.
13 responses. Okay. Okay, Samson.
And Laura, please mute your mic. Thank you.
That is growth mindset. All right. Okay, Samson. 1, 3, 4, and 2. Okay, Lakshmi, do we have to wait for some more time?
I think we can proceed. Right.
Okay.
Go to the next slide, maybe.
Sure, sure. So let me share one thing here with all the participants. All the aspects are important. It's just that your ranking is different. You have to got them implemented in your organization. It's just your preference. Which one would you like to implement first? Right, so that is the case. Now let's come to APF values, and we'll be having one more mentee on values after I finish explaining this to you. Let's understand first, what values are. Values are actually the fundamental beliefs of an organization. They drive the culture. They guide the employees in identifying what and what is wrong. They give you actually the sense of direction that you can have while organization. And values are the things that you believe are important in the way you live. So when you think, when there are things, that you do and the way you behave match your values, life is usually good. You are satisfied, you are content. But when things don't align with your personal values, and that is the time, when things get disturbed, and this could be the real source of unhappiness. So always, try to align your values with the values of the organization. At APF, we have value systems which are 6 in number. So one is open communication, second one is feedback, then we have commitment, then we have courage, and lastly, we have respect and adaptability. So let's talk about open communication first. What is open communication? When all the team members have the freedom to express their thoughts and views without any fear of being judged, that is what open communication is all about. In this case, communication flows both ways. It's not that single person is doing that talking part and dictating and guiding everything. And in this kind of a system, the team members will start sharing their suggestions and ideas. They will even come up with their blockers, and they even might share, how is it that they are feeling, which is not a very easy task unless and until you have that open communication mindset in your organization. Sometimes, even employees might feel bad. So, but it's not easy to share unless you go ahead and show your employee that you are open to any kind of communication whatsoever. Now we must understand, that open communication can't work in silo. If we have communicated something, then it's important that we get into that feedback loop so that, you get to know that you are on the right track and you should know, where you should improve yourself and you should deliver so that you are able to deliver better. So second value comes after this, which is that of feedback. Feedback is the next value in line. And we all hear about this feedback thing a lot in our organizations these days. And to the extent, whenever you buy something from that e-commerce site, you will get that feedback message or get a prompt, asking you for that feedback. How was your buying experience from that particular site? And I think everybody will agree with me, to improve. Feedback is actually one of the best ways to raise employee morale and to create a more positive and workplace, environment. If your employees feel free to always share what they think about the organization, management, and employees, they are more likely to be happy and engaged in your organization. And positive and negative, feedback gives organization and teams a chance to improve upon themselves. In fact, we are also going to have a feedback from all of you after the end of this session, right? So that was all about feedback. Now let's come to commitment. What do you understand by the word commitment? Let me hear from all of you now. What commitment? What kind of commitment? To whom you should have this commitment? You can use the chat box or, unmute yourself. Come up with your answers. Commitment to what? To the employees. Okay. Michena, I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly. It's Uchenna. Chinene, to team members, right? Okay. All right, thank you. To Gray, okay, Gray says to team members. All right. Put your commitment to your organization and task responsible. Definitely, Ramo. Agree with you. Janani, to all the employees. To your work and clients and customers, right? Mubanga. Definitely, you have answered this question yourself. You know, there's no need for me to explain this commitment thing to you. So actually, yeah, in self-organizing teams, yeah, Samson, to yourself, lol. Okay, Samson. All right. So in self-organizing teams, you know, if you don't have that commitment, you can't get that productivity. And I think everybody would agree with me on this. But the team members should feel that connection with the team and the organization goal and stay committed to achieve them. And yes, you all were right saying that commitment should be towards your team members, towards your organization, towards your own personal goals too. Not to forget that. All right. So now let's come to courage. Courage, you know, is something that we could rarely see at the workplace. People do get intimidated by their bosses, you know, and this is very important for, you know, the leaders to see that they provide that kind of platform to each and every employee all across the organization so that they can display that courage. All the team members should display the courage to come forward and speak, even if there is a case in the workplace, you know, there's a situation in the workplace. They should not think that this is the role of the senior leadership only, and they should have the courage to voice their opinion, right? So that is the case. This courage is something which some people might find difficult to implement, but this is a very important aspect, very important value, which is to be implemented at your workplace, which is courage, right? So next comes respect. Tell me, respect what? What is it that we are asking you to respect? We are talking of people here. It's people operations that we are talking about. So it's basically, you know, respect and mindfulness of the kind of skills and capabilities and thoughts and creativities that a person is bringing to the table. This is what, you know, we are asking for, you know, to have a respect towards all these things. Because when you do that, you can actually get into that innovation mode. So always remember to be respectful of other being. Be respectful towards their culture. Absolutely, absolutely, yes, agree. And last but not the least is adaptability. Respect yourself and everyone you come in contact, especially your team members. Absolutely, Rosaline. I like that. Everyone you come in contact with. All right, and the last one is adaptability. How nimble are we in adapting to the new tools and systems in order to improve upon ourselves? You must have heard that term, you know, that saying which says change is the only constant. So instead of resisting to the change, adapt to the change. Right? And some people do say, you know, it's very hard to change yourself. So take your mobile phones, for instance. I am just giving you an example over here. I can tell you, without even looking at your mobile phones, most of your mobile phones are not more than 4 to 5 years old. Even in some cases, it could be 2 to 3 years old. And the moment you buy a new mobile, you change the brand and all, right? And within a couple of hours, or maybe in a couple of days, you get so well versed with your new device. You can actually work on it seamlessly without any issues, without any problems. So who says it's hard and difficult to adapt to change? Take a look at yourself and then decide and answer. Is it so hard to adapt to change? No, not at all. The only thing is you need initiative. You have to take that one step forward to adapt to change. That is what Agile, talks about, adaptability, right? So with that, we come to the end of all the values. I think Lakshmi has one more mentee for you, right, Lakshmi?
Yes, and this is the final one, folks. Okay.
Okay.
Here you go. Now, this time you have to input a new code, okay, to menti.com, and that is 17428069. And the question is, which APF values does your organization follow? Use menti.com, use the chat functionality. Yeah.
Yes. And one more thing I would like to share with all of you here, in case you have any story to share, you can do it at the end of the session about this APF value that your organization follows. We would love to hear that from you.
The one who has issue with the Mentimeter, you can use the chat box. We are also monitoring the chat box.
All right. Adaptability. Tamil. How many responses so far, Lakshmi?
We have 16, Sarika.
16, okay.
So Sarika and everyone, it's good to see that nobody has gone ahead and opted for the none part, right? So that's a big, huge relief.
Relief in
To
itself,
see that
yes.
Yeah, people are in their own way practicing, the organizations are following APF values.
Absolutely, Lakshmi.
Okay, I think we can close it and we can move on considering the time factors, Sarika. Yeah.
I'm so thankful here, Lakshmi, to all the participants, although we have crossed that time bar, but they're still maintaining their presence with us. And
they're
really,
still interacting,
really appreciate. They're
That's
still interacting. Really thankful to all of them. All right. So, Teju, could you please go ahead and share the next slide?
Yes.
All
Here
right.
you go, Sarika.
Thank you, Teju. So we spoke about manifesto, we talked about values, and now let's see, what is it that could happen, or what is it that you could expect when you embrace agile mindset? First is cross-functional collaboration and co-creation. Cross-functional collaboration happens when different teams in an organization they actually collaborate on a common project or goal. You could actually witness the breakdown of silos and departments working alongside instead of against each other, which you could witness in so many organizations, even in your own organization. People working against each other instead of working alongside each other. And the various functions become more productive, and the workplace becomes much more enjoyable. And when this cross collaboration happens, with this in place, you could see this co-creation happening. What exactly is co-creation? Co-creation, to put it simply, is the development of new products and services together with customers, partners, and stakeholders. Co-creation which will actually lead to innovative ideas and improved services if being implemented properly. Second one in the row is streamline and value-driven people operations processes. Streamlining, some of that streamlining part has already been covered by Nadia when she was trying to explain that lean thing with you, right? So streamlining is actually a process used to simplify or eliminate the unnecessary work-related tasks to improve the efficiency and the process of the business of an organization. So instead of using those obsolete time-consuming tools and methods, you are actually using the latest and more efficient systems. Nadia has already shared that in Lean with you. And what value-based organization is all about? Value-based organization is a culture shaped by a clear set of ground rules, establishing the foundation and the guiding principles for decision-making, actions, and a sense of community. In a value-driven culture, employees find alignment between their personal and organizational values, creating that unified and motivated workforce. And management and leadership, they actually set an example for the organizations to live the value that they preach to the employees, right? So that was about streamlining and the value-driven people operations processes. Next comes the regular cadences and the continuous improvement. This is something, which is very, very important when it comes to value realization. The meeting cadence is a pattern of regular reoccurring meetings. Short, frequent meetings increases a team's work momentum. And this is something, Agile vouches for. Having cadences, having those ceremonies, having those meetings, huddles, and that very frequently in order to see, what is it that is going on within the team. Where is it that they're finding the blockers so that they could be resolved there and then? What these cadences do, setting the appropriate cadences ensures a balance, between the individual productivity and group updates on projects. And this is a very good way, to locate opportunities and to ensure efficiencies, which involves assessment of current processes, products, and services to ensure that the output is maximized and the waste is minimized. If any of our team members is actually working on something which is of no use, we can tell them, to stop there and then. And instead of doing this, come to that, start doing this thing, right? And this continuous improvement, this isn't a one and done deal that a company performs and then forgets. This is one fact that we have to drive home today, that this whole process is continuous. It's a method that becomes a part of the business's ongoing process. You can consider it to be like a way of life rather than something you might try even once. But even though it becomes a part of your business, it still requires strategy, methodology to impact the change. And this can be done by empowering everyone within an organization to understand, what that they can point out places for development to spark that positive change within that team. Right? So that was all about continuous improvements. Now, last one is enhanced human-centered experience, something which we all have been talking about right from the beginning. Nadia has also talked to you about this human-centered experience. How can you build a successful human-centered experience in an organization? It could be done, if you start inculcating 3 things: empathy, creativity, and something which we can use for the business purpose. Empathy, we need to genuinely care about the people we design for. First and the foremost thing, not to forget at all. Be it people operations or any other function Agile is working for. Build empathy by immersing yourself in the community that will use your product, right? Put yourself in their shoes and start thinking, would they like this product? Something that you are building for them, something that you are, creating for them. Then second is creativity. We need to find the creative ways to solve the user's problems. And thirdly, we need to make our product commercially successful. Many of the leading organizations today are actually putting more thought and resources into delivering the best overall customer experience that they could give to their customers. When these experiences are positive, they are more likely to become that return customers to you. Companies that deliver high quality customer experience routinely outperform their competitors. For example, say for instance, Spotify. There were times when we had to pay for the songs, our favorite songs that we have to listen. But nowadays, Spotify provides you free of cost. And that is available at a click of your mobile phone, right? So that's the kind of customer experience that you're getting. And lastly, that was all about value realization. Teju, can we have the last slide, please? Now, this is the time for all of you to reflect, or we might say it's a food for thought for all of you. Now you see that the role has been elevated and there are new opportunities that you could grab. So now it is for you to get that into that introspective mode as to how you could be that change champion in your organization and teams. And in case you want any help and support from us, we'll be more than happy to do that. So Lakshmi and Nadia, do you have anything to add to this?
There's nothing from my side, Sarika.
All right, Nadia. Lakshmi, do you have anything to add to this?
No, we are good at this point of time, Sarika.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. That was all from my side. Over to you, Teju.
Okay, that was wonderful session. Thank you so much, speakers. Now let's go ahead and start the question and answer session now. So everyone, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, or also you can raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask the question that you would like to.
Thank you, Constance, for your compliment. And thank you for being there all throughout.
And meanwhile, in the chat box, I have shared a link for the feedback. We would love to hear from you how the session was. And we would love to know what is your feedback towards the webinar today about the session. Please feel free to let us know so that it will help us improve further.
Definitely, definitely. We would love to hear from all of you how this session was. Actually, looking at the kind of response that we have got from Nigeria, which was overwhelming in every respect, we're actually planning to have one more webinar to be organized by, and we would love to hear from you on the kind of topic that we could cover, something that interests you, then something that you would like us to speak on. If you could share that in the chat box. Okay, Amoni, Agile methodology. Sure. Let's hear from others too.
Design thinking.
Design thinking. All right, Neri. Actually, that is a part of Agile HR. So something we wanted to cover today, but since we were short of time, we couldn't do that. Thank you, Fioma. Thanks a lot to you.
Okay, I request everyone to put on your questions and
Agile.
in the chat box.
All right, Ramol is asking for Agile tools. Ramol, you are familiar with two of the tools that we use, Trello and ClickUp, the Kanban tools that we use.
Okay, before as we get the responses in the chat box, I would like to explain here. You can see the slide, right? What next? We have been explaining about what are we gonna do next. In October, in the month of October, we are planning to have a post-webinar activity. We have planned a next webinar for Nigeria in the month of November on 17th, as you can see on the slide, which has already been mentioned. You can stay tuned for the webinar. But before the webinar, we have a plan of an activity-based session in the month of October. And we will be giving you all the details regarding this activity soon. And also, I would like to inform you to join us in the Telegram group. The link is being mentioned on the slide, as well as also the group which has been created specially for Nigerian people on LinkedIn by our country ambassador, Uzoma. Even the link over here, the LinkedIn link is also been mentioned over here. We will also share it in the chat box so that that would be more easier for you. Yes, here you go. The ambassador have already shared the LinkedIn group link. So you can join the LinkedIn group. We can have the frequent contacts, and we'll also share the speakers' details with you and their LinkedIn link so that you can directly have a conversation with them as well if you would like to have a conversation with them.
Somebody is asking in the chat box, Teju, as to
Yes.
There's somebody called HR Madam. She's asking, please tell us how do we take this Scrum Master certification exam? I've told that person to connect with you and so that you can take that thing forward.
Yes, yes, wonderful. I can take that further. So I think we are not having any questions from our so I think all the attendees are completely clear on their doubts. So I think it's the time for me to move on further. I would like before we wrap up the session, I would like to inform you all that in collaboration with Agile PeopleOps framework, that is we, Agile to Academy they have collaborated with us, and they would like to find out what HR or people operations professionals think about Agile. This is important because it will inform everyone on the courses of action, since a robust approach to people is so crucial today. So please share your feedback on this survey link, which I'll be sharing in the chat box now, with those who you know, who are in the people ops or the HR departments in your organization. Yeah. Also, you can share it in your HR network circle. The survey is very short and is designed for leaders through staff level. So here you go. I'll share the link in the chat box so that you can fill up the survey as well. And soon you will be getting the responses from us. You will be getting also the responses for the survey would be shared. And I would like to thank you all once again for all the time and everyone else for participating in the event today. And we believe in continuous learning, so we will be releasing you the participant certificates, which will showcase your continuous learning units, which you have learned, that is the CLU units. And also I'll be sending you the feedback form through email, so that in case if you have not able to fill up now, you can give your feedback, and it will help us in rolling out your certificates as well. And also I would like to mention that we'll be sharing the recording of these sessions with all the participants who have done RSVP, and we'll also be uploading in our APF YouTube channel. So now, before we wrap up, I would like to call upon our ambassador, Uzoma. Please give your words.
Wow, this was a very great section. In fact, I had to learn a lot, and my observation is the interaction so far. And I can't believe that my Nigerian people are so happy about this webinar. And I'm very convinced that they will look forward to the next webinar in November 17th. However, thank you so much, the hosts, the co-hosts, Nadia, Sarika, Lakshmi, Teju, thank you. I can't say anything more than thank you. This was very, very great and insightful. Thank you for your time. And also thank you everyone who have made themselves available to attend this webinar up to this time. You are well appreciated and valued. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I would like to add to
Thank you so much.
Yeah, even I would
Yes,
like to add
Sarika.
to this. A big thanks to all the participants, and not to forget you and Teju, you to have put this things together. You know, you have worked day in and day out to make this webinar a success, and you did it. And we are so happy for you. We as speakers, we had to come and speak only, but we could see, you know, both of you working day in and day out to make it, you know, a success anyhow. And looking at the response that we have got, thank you.
Okay, one last thing, guys. Please, a small request from you all. This has been a very wonderful session. I would like you all to please switch on your video so that I can take one shot of all of your smiling faces. This would be the best moment. This would be the best moment. Just one second. You can please give your 1 second of your video so that I can take the shot, and this would be the best remembrance. Are we all ready? Wow, thank you so much. On a single note, you all have accepted. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Looking forward to more such webinars with Team Nigeria. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Somebody just
interactive.
asked, sorry.
Yes, Nadia?
Somebody just asked for the feedback form again, and I'm struggling to copy it.
No worries, I've already shared it.
Okay, okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. The rest of your day.
Thank you
everyone.